In Tafo, a small town in Ghana's eastern region, lived Okyerewaa, a 24-year-old kenkey seller who cared for her widowed mother. Though poor, she had a heart rich with kindness. Every day she fed a quiet, humble madman whom others mocked. What no one knew was that this madman was once Aquasi, the brilliant only son of wealthy businessman Mr. Ankara. Aquasi had been CEO of his father's construction company, while his father managed a successful wine and drinks empire. But jealousy ran deep within their extended family. They had opposed Mr. Ankara's marriage, fought against his wife, and even used charms to kill her. When Mr. Ankara himself fell mysteriously sick, doctors found nothing, yet prophets revealed it was spiritual attacks from his own family. Before dying, he willed most of his wealth to Aquasi. The greedy relatives, fearing suspicion if Aquasi died, plotted to destroy his mind instead. Charms reduced him to madness, leaving them free to take over his inheritance. But greed turned them against one another, and the empire collapsed. For 2 years, Aquasi wandered until fate brought him to Okyerewaa. Her daily kindness, feeding, clothing and sheltering him, quietly stirred the miracle that could restore his destiny. It began with the company's finances. The young accountant, an elder's son, was accused of embezzling funds. Large sums of money had disappeared, contracts were broken, and salaries went unpaid. Whispers turned into shouts in the boardroom. "You're a thief!" one uncle accused, slamming his fist on the table. "My son is no thief," the elder roared back, his eyes red with rage. "Then where is the money?" another relative shouted. "We cannot account for it." The young man, shaken, swore he was innocent, but the family had already made their judgment. His name was stained, and in their greed, they pushed him aside. One night, in secret, some relatives gathered in a shrine. They spoke to the gods, burning herbs and pouring libation. "If he misuses the money, let his days be shortened," one uncle chanted. "Let the gods deal with him, so another of our children can take his place," an auntie added. Not long after, tragedy struck. The young accountant fell ill suddenly, just like Mr. Ankara had before him. His father wept bitterly, crying, "Why, my son? He was only trying to do what you all wanted." But the others looked away, their silence hiding guilty hearts. Within days, the boy was gone. Instead of unity, his death opened a deeper wound. Blame spread like wildfire. "You killed my son with your rituals," the elder shouted at his brothers. "Your son was greedy. That is why the gods punished him," another spat back. Soon the family house was filled with chaos. Brothers refused to greet brothers. Sisters accused one another of witchcraft. Cousins no longer trusted each other with money. Some stole company cars. Others sold plots of land in secret. The once great empire of Mr. Ankara became a playground for thieves. Workers began to flee in fear. "These people don't care about the company. They care only about fighting themselves," one foreman said as he packed his things. Investors withdrew, customers stopped coming, and projects remained half-built, abandoned like ghosts. Meanwhile, in the streets of Tafo, Aquasi, once the rightful heir, wandered with dust on his face and sorrow in his eyes. He was unaware that the family who destroyed him were now destroying themselves. Okyerewaa, however, continued to care for him. Each evening she would guide him to the porch of their rented house, spreading an old mat where he could sleep. At times, Aquasi would wander off into the night, but every morning Okyerewaa went searching until she found him, bringing food and water. One quiet afternoon, when the sun was dipping low and the air smelled of roasted corn along the roadside, Okyerewaa carried a pan of kenkey on her head, heading home after a long day. Her feet were dusty, her back ached, but her heart was at peace, because she had already found Aquasi and given him food that day. As she turned a corner near an old neem tree, she noticed a frail old man sitting on a wooden stool. His beard was white like cotton, and his eyes shone with a strange brightness. As soon as she passed, he called out softly, "My daughter, come here." Startled, Okyerewaa stopped. "Yes, Nana?" she asked respectfully. The old man studied her for a long moment, then spoke in a voice that was both gentle and heavy with mystery. "Do you know you are carrying something precious with you?" Okyerewaa frowned, confused. "Precious? Nana, I don't understand. We are poor. I sell kenkey with my mother. We have nothing precious." The old man shook his head. "I am not speaking of kenkey or money. I speak of a soul you are keeping alive. Take good care of him. Your kindness is a seed that will bear fruit one day." Her heart raced. She thought quickly, "The only person I am taking care of is the madman." She opened her mouth to ask more questions, but when she looked again, the stool was empty. The old man had vanished like smoke in the wind. Okyerewaa's knees grew weak. She whispered to herself, "What does this mean? Precious? How can a madman be precious?" She shook her head and forced herself to continue home. Perhaps it was only a trick of her tired mind. But destiny was already at work. 2 weeks later, Okyerewaa had a dream. She found herself standing at the edge of a vast hole. The ground beneath her feet crumbled, and before she could scream, she began to fall. Down, down she went, into a bottomless pit of darkness. Fear clutched her heart. She felt her life slipping away. Suddenly, a blinding light pierced the darkness. From above she saw Aquasi, but not as the madman she knew. He was clothed in a flowing golden robe, his hair neat, his face radiant with strength and dignity. His eyes shone with power and compassion. "Okyerewaa!" he called, his voice firm yet tender. In one swift movement he reached down and caught her hand, just as she was about to disappear into the abyss. His grip was strong, unshakable, filled with life. He pulled her out of the hole and held her close. "You will not fall," he said, "for you are the one chosen to lift me as well." Before she could speak, she woke up. Her body was trembling, her heart beating fast, her clothes drenched in sweat. She sat up in the dark room, her eyes wide with shock. "Aquasi," she whispered into the silence. How is this possible?" The dream would not leave her mind. For the first time, she began to wonder if the madman she had been feeding and clothing was truly who the world thought he was, or if he was carrying a secret far greater than she could imagine. Life had not been easy for Okyerewaa and her mother. Their small rented house in Tafo was a daily reminder of poverty. The leaking roof, the cracked walls, and the constant worry of paying rent weighed heavily on them. Still, Okyerewaa found joy in the simple act of feeding and caring for Aquasi. She had given him a place on their porch, laying an old mat for him each night. To her, he was not a burden, but a soul worth saving. Yet not everyone saw it that way. One afternoon, when Okyerewaa had gone to the market to buy second-hand clothes for him, the landlord appeared. His face was hard, his eyes full of anger. He pointed at Aquasi, who sat quietly on the porch, eating food Okyerewaa had left for him. "What is this nonsense?" the landlord barked. "How can you bring a madman to stay in my house? Are you trying to disgrace me before the neighbors?" Aquasi looked up but said nothing. He was not violent, only confused. But the landlord's temper boiled over. He grabbed a bucket of water, poured it over Aquasi's head and shouted, "Leave! Leave this house now! You don't belong here!" The poor man staggered to his feet, water dripping down his ragged clothes. With a blank look, he wandered into the street, disappearing into the crowd. When Okyerewaa returned home, she found the porch empty, the mat soaked, and her mother sitting quietly with tears in her eyes. "Mommy, where is he?" she cried, dropping her basket. Her mother hesitated before whispering. The landlord came. He chased him out. He poured water on him and drove him away. For a moment, Okyerewaa could not breathe. Her chest tightened, her eyes filled with tears. "No, no, this cannot be," she sobbed, running outside. She searched every corner of Tafo. She ran through the dusty streets, calling his name. Aquasi, Aquasi. She checked the market square, the bus station, the old cocoa shed where he sometimes rested. But he was nowhere to be found. Night fell, but she did not give up. She walked with a lantern in hand, her tears blurring her vision. Neighbors shook their heads in pity. "Hey, why suffer for a madman?" they whispered. But Okyerewaa did not care. Her heart was broken. She returned home exhausted, her clothes covered in dust, her voice hoarse from shouting. Falling on her mat, she wept bitterly. "Where are you, Aquasi? Why did they do this to you? After all the pain you have suffered, why again?" Her mother tried to comfort her, but even she knew her daughter's heart was bleeding. That night, as Okyerewaa cried herself to sleep, she did not know that destiny was shifting again. 3 days had passed since the landlord had chased Aquasi from their rented porch. Okyerewaa had searched every corner of Tafo, but there was no sign of him. Her heart felt heavier with each sunrise, and her mother tried to comfort her, though she still disapproved of her closeness to the madman. Then one hot afternoon, as Okyerewaa sat by her kenkey stand, a familiar trotro driver parked nearby. He leaned out of the window and called to her. "Okyerewaa!" "Yes, Kofi driver," she asked, wiping her tears quickly so he would not see. "I saw your friend," he said with a half-smile. "That madman you always feed. He was walking by the roadside at Osino, looking lost. Hey, the way he looked, I knew you would want to know." Her heart jumped. "Osino, are you sure?" "Hey, I saw him with my own eyes," Kofi insisted. "Just yesterday." Without waiting, Okyerewaa packed her remaining kenkey into her pan, handed some to her mother and said breathlessly, "Mame, I'm going to Osino. I must find him." Her mother shook her head. "This girl, you will kill yourself one day for this madman." But Okyerewaa was already walking fast toward the lorry station. When she arrived, she began to search the streets. She asked everyone she met, "Have you seen a tall man with rough hair, wearing an old shirt?" Some shrugged, some laughed. Others said, "Yes, he passed here, going toward the old market." Okyerewaa searched from morning until the sun began to set. Just as she was about to give up, she heard a soft hum, a voice singing an old hymn her mother often sang. Her heart pounded. She followed the sound, and there he was, Aquasi, sitting under a mango tree, humming with eyes closed, rocking back and forth. He looked calmer than she had ever seen him. "Aquasi!" she cried. He opened his eyes slowly, and for a second they were clear. A small smile touched his lips, but then he lowered his head again, as if the madness had returned. Okyerewaa rushed to him, knelt down and touched his shoulder. "Come home with me. Please, don't leave me again." Like a child, he stood and followed her, and they took a taxi to Tafo. People stared, some laughed, but others began to whisper differently this time. "Hey, the madman follows her like a child follows his mother. Who is this girl, and why does he obey only her?" 3 nights later, the dream returned. Okyerewaa was again falling into a dark hole, but this time, instead of reaching from above, Aquasi appeared inside the darkness itself, clothed in a golden robe, and caught her in his arms. His voice was steady, his grip strong. "You will not fall, Okyerewaa," he said. "You are the key, and I am not who they think I am." She woke up gasping, trembling from head to toe. "What kind of dream is this?" she whispered, pressing her hands to her chest. Unable to keep the confusion inside any longer, she went to a pastor in Tafo the next morning. With tears in her eyes, she explained everything, from the food she had given Aquasi, to the mysterious old man who spoke of something precious, to the dream that refused to leave her mind. The pastor listened carefully, then placed his hand on her head. "My daughter, this is no ordinary dream. Fast and pray for 3 days, and the Lord will open your eyes to understand. What you are carrying is greater than you think. The madman is not truly mad. God is preparing a miracle." Okyerewa's heart pounded. A miracle? Could it be true? Could the man she had pitied and cared for be hiding a destiny that even she could not imagine? She went home, determined. She would fast, she would pray, she would wait for answers. For in her dream she had already fallen into darkness, yet it was Aquasi, in golden robes, who had lifted her out. And deep within her spirit she began to feel it. Destiny was knocking on her door. The third night of her fast was the heaviest. Okyerewaa lay on her raffia mat, her body weak with hunger, but her spirit still crying out to God. She begged for clarity, for an answer to the strange visions that refused to leave her mind. When sleep finally carried her away, she found herself once again in the same dark place. A deep hole yawned before her feet. Endless and frightening, she stumbled, falling into the blackness. Her heart pounded, fear choking her chest. But before she could scream, the light appeared again. This time, Aquasi stood not only in a golden robe, but crowned like a king. His face was no longer broken or lost. It glowed with authority and gentleness. He stretched out his hand, pulled her into his embrace, and she realized she was wearing a beautiful white wedding gown. Around them, drums sounded, and voices sang songs of joy. She saw herself standing beside him, their hands tied with a golden thread. But instead of peace, her heart trembled. "No, how can this be?" she whispered in the dream. "Me? Marry a madman?" Aquasi looked into her eyes and said with a voice clear as a bell, "Through you, my freedom shall come. Through me, your destiny shall rise." She woke up in the middle of the night, trembling, tears wetting her face. The dream replayed in her mind again and again. Fear gripped her, yet a strange warmth lingered in her chest. By morning she could not hold it in any more. She rushed to the pastor's house, her steps hurried, her face pale. "Papa," she said, kneeling before him, "I have seen something terrible, something strange. 3 nights I have dreamt of falling into a dark hole, but this time Aquasi was there. He wore a golden robe, and he held me in his arms. And Papa, I saw myself in a wedding gown, standing beside him. How can this be? He is a mad man." The pastor closed his eyes for a moment, praying silently. Then he opened them and looked at her with calm authority. "My daughter, do not fear. What you have seen is not from the enemy, but from God. That man is not truly mad. He is under a curse, one reinforced by his own family's jealousy and wickedness. The spirits were commanded to destroy his mind, not his body, so that he would live in shame while his inheritance was stolen." Okyerewaa gasped. So it is true. His family did this to him? Yes, the pastor nodded. And the dream is clear. You are chosen as the one who can break the curse. The fetish priest himself spoke of it long ago, though you did not hear. Only a pure-hearted woman, willing to embrace him, can save him. You are that woman. You must marry him. Okyerewaa trembled. Papa, this is dangerous. What will people say? My mother already warns me I will bring disgrace to our home. How can I, the daughter of a poor kenkey seller, marry a madman? The pastor placed his hand on her shoulder. My daughter, sometimes God hides a king in the clothes of a beggar. What looks like shame may be the doorway to glory. Okyerewaa walked home slowly, her mind heavy with confusion. How could this be possible? Was she truly meant to marry him? She loved to care for him, yes, but the thought of becoming the wife of a madman made her heart tremble between fear and hope. She reached home late in the evening, her eyes swollen from tears. Her mother looked at her and asked, Okyerewaa, where have you been? She knelt and poured out everything, the dream, the pastor's words, the prophecy. But Maame Afia shook her head firmly, her face pale with worry. My daughter, this is dangerous, a disgrace. How can a sane young woman, my only child, marry a madman who has nothing? People will laugh at us. They will say we have no shame. Okyerewaa looked down, tears dropping on the floor. Her heart was torn between obedience to her mother and the call of destiny whispering in her spirit. That night, as she lay awake, she asked herself over and over, how can this be possible? How can a madman be my husband? Or is God really planning something I cannot see? For days, Okyerewaa could not sleep. Her mother's words echoed in her ears. Dangerous. A disgrace. How can my daughter think of marrying a madman? The weight of shame pressed heavily on her heart. Yet the dreams, the prophecy, and the pastor's words refused to leave her mind. Every time she looked at Aquasi lying silently on the porch, her spirit whispered, He is not what he seems. You are the key. One evening news came that her mother had travelled to a family funeral in a neighbouring town. For the first time in weeks, Okyerewaa was alone with Aquasi. She sat by him quietly, staring at his dusty face, his hair overgrown, his clothes smelling of the streets. Her heart ached. How long will I hide you like this? How long will the world see you as nothing when I know there is more inside you? After a long silence, she stood and whispered, Come with me. Surprisingly, Aquasi followed her without protest. She led him into the small bathroom behind the house, where she fetched warm water into a bucket. With trembling hands, she began to wash him. First his face, then his arms, then his feet. Each stroke of the sponge was mixed with tears. God, she prayed softly as she bathed him, if this man is truly the one you have shown me, let tonight be the night you reveal it. Let every curse be broken. Aquasi stood quietly, his eyes distant, his lips moving as if murmuring forgotten words. She dressed him in clean, second-hand clothes she had bought from the market. When she finished, she sat down before him, her heart pounding. In that moment, her compassion overflowed. She took his hands into hers, lifted her head to the heavens, and whispered with all her soul, If my love is the key, let this chain break tonight. Soon after, she forced herself on him and had sex with him in the bathroom. Aquasi became sane. It was as if lightning struck the silence. Aquasi staggered back, clutching his head. His eyes rolled, then cleared. His voice, strong and deep, thundered into the night. Where am I? he demanded. His eyes darted around the room. "Who are you? What is this place?" Okyerewaa froze, her heart racing. "Aquasi, you are speaking!" He looked at her, confusion in his eyes but clarity in his tone. "Why am I here? What is happening? Last I remember, I was in my office, my company, and then—" His voice trailed off as memories swirled. Okyerewa's hands shook as tears filled her eyes. "You were gone for so long. They called you mad. But you are back. You are back." For the first time, Aquasi stared at her, not with the emptiness of madness, but with the sharpness of a man awakened from a deep sleep. "Why am I here?" he asked again, looking at the tiny bathroom, then at her. "Who are you? What has happened to me?" Okyerewa's tears fell like rain. She held his hands gently, afraid he might slip back into madness if she said the wrong thing. "My name is Okyerewaa," she whispered. "For 2 years you've been here in Tafo, wandering the streets. People called you mad, but I knew you were different. Every day I brought you kenkey. I brought you here to rest. I bathed you, clothed you, prayed for you. I could not let you die like a dog." Aquasi's face twisted in pain as fragments of memory rushed back. He pressed his palms against his head. "My father, my mother, the family, they wanted us gone. They said they would destroy us. They—" His voice broke. "Did they succeed?" Okyerewaa hesitated. "Your father is gone, but you are alive. The world thinks you are mad, but I see you are not. You are Aquasi Kwateng, son of Mr. Ankra." His eyes widened. He finally remembered his name. Yes, I am Aquasi Kwateng." He clenched his fists, his chest rising and falling with heavy breaths. "And they took everything from me." For days after, Okyerewaa sat with him, listening to his broken story. She told him of how the townspeople mocked, how she kept feeding him, how the landlord once chased him out, and how she searched for him through Tafo and Osino. "You did all that for me?" he asked softly one evening, his eyes glistening. "Yes," Okyerewaa replied, "because something in me knew you were more than what people saw. And now the dreams tell me you are meant for something greater." Aquasi lowered his gaze. "My father, he left me everything, but they stole it all. They wanted me mad so the world would laugh while they enjoyed what was mine. But I must rise again, for my father's name, for my mother's memory." And so, with trembling courage, he returned to the lawyer who had once read his father's will. The lawyer's eyes widened in shock when he saw him standing tall, his mind restored. "Aquasi, by the heavens, you are alive and you are well." He embraced him like a lost son. "Your father's will is still here. We can fight this battle in court." The case began, and the whole of Koforidus whispered. The Ankra family was already weakened, some of them bedridden from curses they themselves had raised, others buried after fighting among each other. What was once a proud family had been reduced to ruins by their own hands. And when the judgment was passed, justice spoke. The inheritance rightfully belonged to Aquasi Kwateng. The company, though nearly destroyed, was returned to him. The family that had laughed at him, mocked him, and cast him aside now trembled. Their greed had left them broken, while the one they cursed had risen again. But as Aquasi walked out of the court with his lawyer, one question lingered in his mind. How could he rebuild all this? And what place did Okyerewaa hold in the destiny now unfolding before him? When Aquasi returned to Tafo after the court case, he was no longer the broken man people had mocked. He came driving a shining black car, neatly dressed in a tailored suit. His hair was trimmed, his face clean, and his eyes sharp with confidence. The whole town gathered in shock. "Hey, is this not the same madman?" the drivers whispered. "Impossible! He was eating from the streets," the market women gasped. "Was Okyerewaa hiding a prince all this while?" the town boys murmured, unable to believe what they saw. But Okyerewaa, who stood by her kenkey stand, felt her knees grow weak when the car stopped before her. Aquasi stepped out, his eyes warm and full of gratitude. He walked toward her slowly, ignoring the stares of the crowd. "Okyerewaa," he said softly, "you fed me when the world laughed. You clothed me when my family stripped me. You prayed for me when I could not pray for myself. Today, I stand restored, not because of wealth, but because of you." Before the whole town, he knelt on one knee, opened a velvet box, and revealed a sparkling ring. "Will you marry me?" Tears filled Okyerewaa's eyes. The girl who had once been mocked for loving a madman was now standing before a restored heir, the owner of booming companies. She covered her mouth with trembling hands, then nodded with joy. "Yes, yes, I will." The crowd erupted in gasps and cheers. Some clapped, others wiped tears from their eyes. Even those who once mocked her whispered, "This girl was wise. She has been rewarded." The wedding that followed became the talk of Tafo. Guests filled the church, the choir sang joyfully, and Aquasi, in a fine white suit, placed the golden ring on Okyerewaa's finger. As they were declared husband and wife, the whole town erupted in praise. From that day, Okyerewaa's life changed forever. Aquasi rebuilt his father's businesses, restoring the construction company and the wine empire. Contracts returned, workers came back, and the family name was honored again. He built a beautiful new house for Mame Afia, giving her comfort for the rest of her days. He also built a fine home for Okyerewaa in Tafo, though soon after they moved to Accra, where life opened even greater doors. In Accra, their love blossomed. They had children, each one a symbol of God's grace and mercy. Okyerewaa, once a poor kenkey seller mocked for feeding a madman, now walked in fine clothes beside her wealthy husband. But she never lost her humility. She often told her children, "Remember, riches are nothing without kindness. It was kindness that made me who I am today." As for Aquasi, he never forgot the porch where he once slept, or the girl who once searched the streets for him. In his heart, he knew his true restoration came not only from God's mercy, but also from the love of a woman the world despised, but destiny had chosen. And so, what began in pain ended in glory. The madman of Tafo became a king again, and the kenkey seller became his queen. In life, one truth never changes. Whatever belongs to you will surely come to you, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many people rise against you. Aquasi lost everything. His own family turned against him. They plotted his downfall. They called him mad, and the world mocked him. But God, through the love and kindness of one woman, restored him and gave him back more than he had lost. Okyerewaa teaches us something that is rare today: indiscriminative love. She did not feed Aquasi because he was rich or handsome. She fed him because he was human. She clothed him because she believed in acceptance. She sheltered him because she understood true hospitality. It was her simple acts of kindness that unlocked the miracle. Viewers, let this story remind you that no love, no kindness, no act of faith is ever wasted. Do not despise anyone because of their present condition. Tomorrow is pregnant with mysteries. The one you reject today may be the one to lift you tomorrow. We thank you for watching Ananse Web of Tales. If this story touched your heart, do well to subscribe, share this video, and let us know in the comments where you are watching from. And now, I pray for you. May you never miss your destiny. May every stolen blessing in your life be restored. May you be delivered from wicked family plots, and may your home overflow with peace, love, and abundance. Stay blessed, remain hopeful, and may your story too end in glory. Amen.